What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the vlog. We have a very special project for you here in a beautiful scenic location. We're right here on the riverfront and we're building a beautiful deck and patio combination. And in this video series, we're gonna really go into the details. So this will be our most in-depth series to date. So make sure you hit subscribe. Stay tuned. We are starting off with a beautiful blank slate here, and you can see how they have those sliding glass doors across the whole back of the house. We want to maximize that flow, so we have an upper deck coming off the left side leading down to a bigger lower deck with some entertainment space, and then that leads down to the patio, and we have a really cool crosshatch pattern in the patio picked up on the deck, all to maximize that river view. So first step here is laying out all of our footings. GoliathTech will be here in a couple minutes to start installing our helical piles. And in this video, we're gonna cover the layout, installation of those helical piles, and our ledger layout. And we're gonna get into the details here. So starting with layout. All right, so our upper deck is 14 feet wide. It's coming out 8 feet, and then it has a little section on the outside of that that's gonna have stairs that lead down to the lower deck. So our first row of footings are 7 feet out from the house. There's gonna be 3 of them. So what we do, measure out, make 2 marks at 7 feet, run a string line, continue that so we make sure we're nice and straight 7 feet off the house, then we can mark out the layout for those 3 footings. So because this deck here is gonna cantilever, we can set these in about 1.5 feet on each side. We just have to be really close. We don't have to be absolutely perfect on this. We mark our 2 ends, then we just measure to the center, make that center mark. That's where the 3rd footing will go. First set of footings on our lower deck is coming out 11 feet, so we'll make those 2 marks. We'll run a string line, and that'll be our reference line. We can measure the exact location off of that. All right, now we're ready to do our 2nd row of beams on this lower deck, and that's gonna be 10 feet out from this first row of footings. I'm gonna pull a reference line for this 2nd row of beams because we're getting further away from the house, and we do have some flexibility with that cantilever, but we don't have all the flexibility in the world, so just wanna double check, make sure that we're still within that tolerance. We got this big collapsible square. Link in description, you can get this on our Amazon store. We love this thing. We're gonna put that up against the house. Grab my string line. Catherine, you're gonna have to film and hold this at the same time.
Okay. All right.
So we just pull that line, so it's coming square off of this, which is square off of the house, and it might not be absolutely perfect, but we're gonna be using the house as a reference anyway, so we wanna go off of whatever that is. So I'm gonna spray this out. This will be our reference line. We're like 8 inches off, so not a huge deal. That's still within the realm of flexibility, 2 feet for your cantilever, but we want to do it as the plans say, which is 1.5 feet. So these are our last 2 footings right here. We could just pull off of that reference line that we pulled. These are gonna be right at the corner of the front of our landing. We have an 8-foot deck that comes to here and then comes across, comes out 4 feet. Stairs go down this way. So these 2 had to be pretty dang close. And just like that, GoliathTech's here, ready to install these piles. All right, so we're back on site now. We have all of our GoliathTech helical piles installed. We're about to start framing, but from here on out, Tony, we're gonna let Tony do a little POV action. He's gonna walk you through what's going through this man's beautiful mind on this one. So he's gonna have the GoPro. He's gonna walk you through the whole thing, and just really gonna be some insightful stuff.
Stay tuned.
Yep.
I'll teach you guys how to build a deck. What's everybody? Oh.
Where'd you get that number from?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We are framing. Grizzle on framing day. I'll show you what we got going on to get started. Stay tuned. As you can see, I got my ledger up behind me. Tom and Jose are working on getting these helical piles leveled out so they can start cutting 6x to set our beam. I'll show you some things I like to do on my ledger. So I got my ledger set. It's about 14 feet. We're going with a 2x10 ledger with 2x10 joists. We're going 12-inch on center. I like to lay out my ledger. See how I have my 2 lines? What this does is allows me to move on to something else, and Tom and Jose are gonna know exactly where the joists go. Standard practice we have our first joist, flat blocking to pick up our perimeter board, which we're doing a double border, and then starts our first joist and then 12 inches on center. Also, our ledger lock layout with our ledger to beam span calls for it to be around 13 inches every lag. So with the joist laid out like this, if you just go in the center, up and down, you're gonna be in that 13 inches and we'll be good to go. Oh, hey, Sean. Hey. What are you working on?
I'm just setting our laser up. There you go.
A lot of beeping going on.
Yep. We reset our laser, brought it up a little bit higher so that we can get a reference point off of this ledger. And it looks like we are right at 11 1/4. See that? So now, to just get it kind of close with this.
Check out that view. It's gonna be fun working here.
So here we're at 5'8".
Okay.
So we had 11 1/4.
Yep.
5'8". 5'8" is what? 68.
Still shorter than me.
Yeah. So we got 68 minus 11 1/4. So 56 3/4 is our difference in height.
Okay.
Now we're trying to figure out our 6x height. So we need to deduct our decking. Well, no, not our decking because we're going off of framing.
So just 19.
So just 19 for our joist and our beam.
What are you doing?
37 3/4.
I'm filming you. You filming me?
Filming Inception.
So once all these are set at the same height,
Yep.
37 3/4 is going to be your 6x height. Perfect. That's how you do it. Once we get those heights established with our laser level, then we can cut those 6x6s and we adjust the GoliathTech helical pile so they're all the same height. Therefore, our 6x's can all be cut at the same height, making it a little bit easier. These had to be 37 3/4, so we got that figured out, and then our beam is just going to sit right on top of that, and we'll attach the two together with a scab 2x6 bolted into both sides.
So on this upper deck, you pretty much see the shape of it. We have this little 4-foot extension, which is really going to be for a set of stairs running here to this lower deck. I like to run my end joist first, make sure they're square, lets me plumb up all my posts and my beams, and then this stair one, I doubled up. This is going to be the rim for the smaller deck, and then this is going to continue out. They're running parallel. That's running parallel. Deck's pretty square. Pretty much at this point, we're just going to fill in with joists. Lower deck ledgers set. We're ready to go in no time.
Now we're on to the lower deck and we're just going to repeat that same process. We're going to assess our ledger height, then we're going to use the laser to determine our footing height, lay the beams right on top of it because it's a low deck, and then we just run our joists, fill it in from there. Getting ready to start on this inlay. We've got a pretty complicated one here, but you know what? I planned it all out, and that's what's gonna make it easy. Isn't that right?
That's right. That's what you do in the van all day.
That's what we do in the van. All the time spent in the van, planning this out is gonna all be worth it because it's gonna make this go in like a breeze.
You get to walk out and boom, there's a deck.
Yeah, well, this is my canvas. So thanks for having the canvas ready for me. So check out this little drawing that I have. You can see how I've got all of those points defined, and what I need to do is mark out all of those intersections, and then we can just snap lines connecting them, and that's gonna be the center of our blocking. So what I'm starting with is 3 lines across the deck. We have a center point, and then we have 2 lines off of that, which are 4 feet off of our center mark. So we'll make those marks, and then we can go off of those to determine where the intersecting points are, and then we can snap those diagonal lines. Now we find center, 236 1/4, 118 1/8. Yep.
Yep. That's it.
We're not gonna be able to snap here until
Yeah.
we get.
Some blocking.
Yeah, we're gonna have to just put temporary flat blocking. All right, so we've essentially laid out a grid here, and our intersecting points are falling in between the center of the base. So we're just putting flat blocking, just so we can get an exact mark for where the chalk line is gonna lay. And these are just temporary. They'll get taken out after we get all of our marks, but we just need to get an exact location of where that intersecting point is. So that's what Tom's working on now. So we have all of our intersecting points marked out. They're in the center of each bay. So we have 7 little scraps in here that are flat with the framing, and those are gonna be our crosshairs that we wanna snap across. That's gonna give us our grid. You can see on the drawing how we have those 7 intersections, and then once we connect all the lines, we're good to go. We base all of our framing off of that. So we just connect the lines and we're good.
I'm good there.
I look pretty good there. You good?
Yep.
All right. First one.
I got. I'm good there.
Good there?
Yeah.
I'm like right on it.
Right there. Is that as good as that?
Yeah?
Yes.
Right. Okay. We cross right in the center there? Looks like we did.
Yeah. Looking good.
All right. So that's the basis for our grid. Now we need to go off of that line 7.5 inches in each direction for our blocking. A lot of cutting still to come. Alright, so we got a lot of this inlay blocking in. You can see it going all over the place, every little direction.
Excuse me, Sean. Excuse me.
Come on. So I'm going to show you how we're cutting this. You saw how we snapped that line. We have that coming right through here. So we're basically just cutting pieces to fit in between each joist bay. It's a lot of work, but it's going to be worth it. So come nice and close here. What I'm going to do, I'm going right off of our line. I'm going to burn 1 inch. Put it right there, pull it right there, and it's reading 15.5, so it's gonna be 14.5. So what I'll do, it's gonna be a 45-degree cut on both sides. Pull that 14.5. see how she fits. Oh, that's a beauty. Because we already have this blocking in, I'm not gonna be able to get screws in here really good, so I'm gonna put a piece of blocking right here. You can see here is my center point. That's going to be the center of our inlay. So I'm going to line up our short side with that. Now through this side, we don't need that blocking there. We just need to make sure that we're coming up nice and flush. And check it out, beautiful piece here. Now we're gonna go with our next piece, and oh my God, it's gonna be like a wacky shape here. What are we gonna do? I'm gonna show you in 1 second. That was a rough cut. It doesn't fit in there. So here's what I'm gonna do. Let's measure this right here. We've got 2 5/8 from our long point to the edge here. So all I'm gonna do, burn an inch, make my mark. Off of here, it's a 90-degree angle off of this, so all I need to do, put my square on there, and then I cut it, and it should fit. Moment of truth. So good.
You're proud.
God. Make sure you bury those pretty good, because we're gonna hit this with a planer.
Locked in for justice.
Now that we have a good amount of this blocking down, let me show you with some scraps what this inlay detail is going to look like. Here's our center line, basically right in the middle of these 2 boards. So this is just for demonstration, so it doesn't have to be perfect right now. We've got this. We've got this coming in here like that. These are going to kind of crisscross, and then oh yeah, that's gonna be nice. Woo! Woo! That's gonna be real nice. And then all of our field boards are gonna be Costa, and that's gonna butt into right here. That's why we have a little bit of extra nailing space on both sides of the inlay. That's gonna receive all of our field boards. Before we do anything here, we need to make sure that all of our framing is completely flat. With a complicated inlay like this, any inconsistencies in height on our joists are going to be very noticeable where all the boards intersect. So Tony's taking his time, he's running the planer over everything, and then once we're done that, we make sure everything is taped on our flat blocking so it's all flash and it's going to protect it from standing water. All right, we're just about done taping, so I'm going to start laying out our decking. We're going to lay all of our field boards first. Then we'll use the track saw to cut in the inlay. I've got it all figured out how we can do this without ripped boards, so let me show you. We're actually gonna start on the middle of this deck, which seems a little bit odd, but the thing that we're most concerned about is having our inlay, all the intersections happen at an even point in the board. We wanna find the center of our deck, which is right at 95 inches. But then we're gonna pull off of that 2 3/4, because that's gonna be the edge of our first deck board. That way the middle of our first board is gonna be the middle of the deck. That line right there is gonna dictate the edge of our first board. We're gonna go on this side of it, we're gonna work back this way, and then you'll see at a bunch of these transitions how we figured it out so that we're gonna have full boards and we're not gonna have little rips. because we don't want that.
The only rips we got around here are ripped pants. Rip my pants. Time for new pants.
So the one thing that we want to be concerned with when we're laying out all of our field boards, because most of this is going to get track sawed and taken out, we don't want any fasteners around our inlay. So what we did, because we still want to keep these nice and straight as they're installed, in the middle of our blocking, you see this coming this way, we just have one screw in the face, right in the center there, to keep our consistent spacing. That's going to get taken out after we track saw this, but that's going to keep us on track. All right, here we are. Time to party. Start marking out this inlay, cutting it with the track saw. I'm gonna walk you through the whole thing, how we're figuring this out again. It's basically the same thing we did on the blocking, but now we got no room for error.
Zero.
This is the money cut.
This is the money cut.
Times.
One cut, everybody knows the rules.
We got like 40 cuts,
yeah,
and each one's a money cut. If we mess up any of these, the whole deck is pretty much ruined.
It's your responsibility to give me the lines. It's my responsibility to cut the lines. Oh,
high stakes.
High stakes.
But we're good.
We're good.
We're gonna start by snapping out our grid for this intersecting pattern. We're gonna have 5 vertical lines across the deck, and then we're gonna have 3 horizontal lines. That's gonna create the grid. Then once we have those points, we can snap diagonal lines connecting everything, and that will be the center of our inlay. All right, first line.
First line. Gotta start somewhere.
Good?
Yep.
Whee! This looks so fun, math.
It is. And we gotta go the other way now, right?
Now we go the other way. This is really so satisfying. I love this part.
I know.
It's like where art and science meet.
Stop, what?
Right here. Math. That's kind of science. That's kind of science, right?
I'm good. Are you good?
How do we look there, Catherine?
Dead on.
This is so exciting. This makes me so happy.
That
Did I mention that?
That's it, right?
No, not even close.
Oh, there's these.
Yep. All right, so we just mocked up a tiny little detail of our inlay just to get some exact measurements. Anthony likes to do it this way. So here is our Costa board that's 5.5 inches. That's the center of that board. Then we have a 3/16 gap and a 2.5 inch rip of tundra on both sides. So everything inside of our inlay is gonna be tight. Our field boards are gonna come up to that, so there won't be this gap. Burn 1 inch. I got the 1 inch right at our center point. It's reading 6.5. I burned 1 inch, so 5.5. So we're gonna pull 5.5 inches off both sides of our chalk line, and that's gonna give us our cuts. Should fit in like a glove. We'll just pick one line. We'll do both sides of it, and what we like to do is measure off of our center, snap that line, cut it, and then we'll measure off of our cut for the other side of it so we can stay right on the money. One thing that we've learned from previous projects is once you snap your cut line, go back off of that and put all of your fasteners in the edge of that board, because otherwise you'll cut through it and then boards will start to move and it's a nightmare trying to get everything to line up again. So live and learn. we lived, we learned. This is how we do it now. Probably our most common question with the track saw, how does it stay put? It's just got this rubber on the bottom and it just does. Just put it there and it doesn't like to move. Good. So now that we have all of our inlay cuts all tracked out, we just have to do our perimeter cuts. We snap that chalk line and then we put a fastener right on the inside of that so it's nice and secure. Then we'll hit it with the track. Bing, bang, boom. Good to go. Hey, you need anything else from me?
Just some positive words. Do you have positive words for me? Give me something right now.
You can be anything you want to be.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we're starting off our day here fixing a mistake. Yeah, I know. We make mistakes. It's crazy. You would never expect it, but we do sometimes. And it was just a stupid little mistake. We didn't account for how far our border was going to cut over, and we laid these a little bit too far this way, so we got to just unscrew our clips, knock them all down, get them closer, and then we can track all this. So not a huge deal, but just a stupid little mistake that got to pay attention.
Well, why are you coming over here and bothering me?
What happened over there? Give us a post-game analysis.
We got lazy. Bottom line, we got lazy. We didn't check where our inlay was coming through. We didn't check our overhang. We just got so jacked up that we're putting deck boards down that we didn't care where we put deck boards as long as they were on the deck. And now we got to move deck boards.
Yep.
There's no such thing as a problem. It's just a solution we haven't found yet, and we found the solution, and then we're moving forward. Feet on the ground, head down, power through. You win some, you lose some, but we just always win. You can't make an omelet without breaking eggs, so when they break, you scramble them, and then you have breakfast, and it's a good start to your day.
26. 26? Yeah. 26. All right, so we got these boards fixed. Anthony finished track sawing all the edges, so we're getting ready to start installing this inlay detail. You can see how we have this basket weave effect going on, so we need to be really conscious of where the pieces start, where they end, so everything ends up consistent. So I'm quarterbacking here. I'm going to be referencing that rendering, calling out measurements, installing everything. So first one, 126, we got it?
I'm always going to hand you the bad end.
Perfect.
I'm putting that little bevel on the good end.
Perfect. Money. One thing that we like to do when we're fitting these boards tight together, like we're doing here on this inlay, is put this piece on a little bit of a bevel, about 3 degrees, and that way the top end is sticking out a little bit further, and there's gonna be nothing on the bottom edge of that board that keeps us away. It's really quite beautiful already. I'm excited. I'm really excited. these over here are 2 feet.
I got it.
Okay. So we're getting our last couple pieces in here, and check this out. The other thing that we do, we also rip these on a bevel. So, can you see that? A little bit of a bevel there. Come here. You can see when we track sawed, that's the depth that the track saw went to, and then we snapped it off. So we just don't want that holding us up against here. That's why we put that on a tiny bit of a bevel. And you can see the top really nice and tight. The bottom, a little bit of relief. Okay, now is the perfect time. Come here. Come on in.
Let's
Get
learn
close.
these people something,
Yes,
John.
yes. Because this is definitely the video that we're gonna get.
We're gonna learn you something.
You gotta leave 12 inches for expansion and contraction. The
put caulk
closest
in
it
there.
should be is this close. That's not how we install this product here. This is not your typical wood plastic composite. This is a mineral-based composite, the Deckorators Voyage series. Minimal, super minimal expansion and contraction. And we find if anything, they're not expanding, they're contracting just the tiniest bit. They're not expanding beyond the normal capacity dimensions or whatever.
Whatever that means.
But anyway, we've been installing this stuff super tight, and it's good.
Never had
It's
any
fine.
issues.
We've got no issues with it. So please still leave the hater comments because we love hearing them, but just also know that you're wrong.
And that little back cut gives us a little bit of relief. There's your little bit of expansion and contraction.
When do I get my relief?
You got anything to say?
Got a lot to say. What's up with this weather? What's up with the rain, man?
I think this angle is like
Real like crazy.
a 90s hip hop music video.
Now that we have our inlay pretty much done here, we're gonna start with the stairs going from the upper deck to the lower deck.
The
And stair building 101 time.
101 time? All right.
Yeah.
What time is it? It's
101.
It's 8:01. Are we going right into it?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. So what we're dealing, we got a set of steps going over here on that upper deck down to the lower deck. We have a number of 41 and a half heavy, so that's going to break down to 7 rises. Our 7th riser is the deck itself, so we need to build a set of steps with 6 steps. Our number came out to 5 15/16. So what I do is get my trusty squid jigs, my rise at 5 15/16, my run at 13 inches. A little tip that I do, I always check with a tape measure. I'll butt my tape and measure back just to make sure they're right on the money. Set them nice and tight, start tracing. Just follow, follow, follow. And when you get to the top, this line is technically my deck. We like to put a backer and then we load the fronts with 2x material as strength for our steps. So I have to account for that, so I have to subtract 3 inches, 2x and 2x, describe that line. Then I come to the bottom. Our rise is 6 inches. So I measure down 6 inches, but I have to account for our thickness of our material that we're putting on our treads, which is about 1 inch, 7/8. So I subtract that, and then I scribe that line. And then it's up to the boys to cut them nice, cut them all the same, and then we install them.
Nice. Stair building 801 was easier than I thought.
Yeah, it's early in the morning. I'm fresh. Usually I tend to get a little grumpy around right before lunch because my tummy's hungry.
And one thing that I always found confuses some people, he explained how we subtract the 3 inches from the backside here because we're going to be putting a backer on the back of all of our stringers, and then we're going to be building out the fronts, connecting them with 2x material. So some people get confused. Hey, shouldn't I subtract 1.5 inches off of each tread because I'm going to be adding a 2x to the front? No, because this right here is 13 inches. We're going to be adding a 2x, so you would think, okay, now it's making it 14.5, but no, this one is also getting a 2x, So we're basically subtracting 1.5 inches off of this tread, and then we're adding it here. So everything is gonna line back up and be good. So we only need to worry about the depth on that first tread.
First one.
And we need to worry about our height on our bottom one.
That's it.
Now that we have the stairs all cut, we've assembled them. We have this kick plate on the front, and we've got our backer board. Now we can just throw it up there. We'll add all these other pieces once it's screwed in and secured. It's gonna cut down on the weight a little bit and make it a little bit easier. So we have a line snapped right across here for our height. What are we at? 5 15/16? There you go. Oh, that's not too bad. You're gonna be, you gonna get down there? There you go. So we're just temping it up with these 3-inch screws. We'll put some nice big structural lags in there, and then we can also screw it into our trim nailers on the bottom, and this thing will really
Be locked in for justice.
Hey, Sean,
Hey,
what are you doing?
I don't know, you know, I just felt like painting. What we actually are doing is what we do on all of our framing. We paint it black. It's really a stain. We stain it black. That way it's gonna hide all of the lumber behind our trim. On this one, we're doing 5.5 boards. We're spacing it about 1/2 inch. So if it wasn't painted black, it would really stand out. This just makes it disappear. It's a little bit of extra work, but I think it's worth it because it makes the finished product so much cleaner. And it's nice and relaxing.
Just don't spill it on the deck.
And when am I gonna learn real karate? Oh, painting the fence is karate. Paint the deck, Danielson. You can see we got the trim around the fascia of this stair set done. And this is a really good example to show you exactly how we achieve this trim detail of our risers wrapping right around and then continuing onto our fascia. So what we have here is a 5.5 inch Costa board. We spaced it 1/2 inch. So we made our risers 6 inches so that each board continues straight across. It'll do the same thing all the way down. Gives it a super nice clean look. One of our signature looks. I love it, and it's coming together. Oops. We got a bit of a whoopsie on our hands here. I know, you probably think Premier Outdoor Living, we're absolutely perfect, especially in the planning phase of things. Let me show you what we got. You can see we have this 2.5 inch rip of Tundra. That was the plan for all of our perimeter, to do a 2.5 inch piece of Tundra and then our 5.5 inch Costa. That works out perfectly over here. But on this side, we're about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches off. So we had a couple options. We could just have a larger rip on this side, so it would have to be this big. Check that out. This is about 3.25, these are 2.5. We realized the only true option, we gotta do surgery on this deck. As much as this sucks, we're ripping off this rim joist, we're cutting this back, we're taking off the stairs, we're rebuilding it, and we're gonna do it the right way, so that's how we do it.
Nobody's gonna know we did this, but you are, because we're filming it.
It is what it is.
We're honest, we wear our hearts on our sleeve, we wear our projects on our faces, and this is what happens.
But hey, we're gonna do the right thing, we're gonna get it fixed,
We're
and
gonna make it right.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
What's done is done here, so it's time to get to work fixing this little mistake. What we need to do is take about 1 inch off each joist and bring it back so that our border is gonna fit in there seamlessly. The really hard part is that all the joists are pretty close together, so we can't get a circular saw into all of those bays so some of them had to get cut with a Sawzall. The next thing we have to do is cut all of our posts, which are already in concrete, notch them back so that the stringer is going to sit on top of them. Then we can put the existing stair set back on there, and we'll be back on track. All right, so that was a little bit of a setback, but we got it taken care of. Tony said, I'll handle it.
Just don't talk to me.
We've got our new piece on here that's the same width as all of our inlay pieces, and then we'll have this 5.5-inch Costa, and that'll leave us with a 2-inch overhang from framing for our 1-inch trim, and then our 1-inch overhang. Back on track, let's go. So we also got these steps done over here. We have a lot more steps going in, so we'll show you some of the process on that a little bit later. But right now, we're getting started on some of our railing installation, and we're gonna have a really cool little custom bar going on here. So we left these posts a little bit longer than usual, and then we're gonna bolt in a 2x4 frame on this, and we're gonna have it overhang about 10 inches. So now we can install our sections, and once those sections are installed, we'll come back and we'll start building this bar top. It's gonna be really cool, so stay tuned for that. Do you think we'll need to cover the bottom?
What?
The framing? What boards?
Why? Oh, for aesthetic? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll go run to the store.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drive. Be faster. Off we go. I hate when the planes are above the clouds and you can't see them. Sawing action, back and forth. There you go. That's the stuff. Get it nice and thick on there, so that you're cleaning it all the way. You know what I mean? So you're dragging it all the way across.
Did you think about putting more in to change your mind?
I was thinking about it, yeah, but it's like real wet, and I thought I was gonna drip it on you. I didn't want to do that. Yeah, get like a bunch in front of it. Cause like we got these little low spots. Do a little pad for our outdoor kitchen here. We're gonna be framing this up. As we typically do with some nice ProWood, but we want this sitting on a solid base, so we got some concrete going in this form, and then tomorrow we can frame up on this and then start trimming it out. It's gonna be looking nice. It's good to go. Everybody's staring at me.
I'd have been like, you think it looks like you.
Tony,
What?
what you doing?
Working.
We're getting ready to put our corners on. We like to go with a nice clean detail of a 5.5-inch deck board. Go in the back, about 4.5-inch deck board with that little 1/4-inch reveal, running vertically to break up the horizontal pattern. So what I do is I track saw it, so I screwed the track to the wall, made my cut. A lot of people ask like, oh, what do you do with the holes that you just put in? That's the hole that I needed for my track saw to go on. I'm just gonna take a trusty old plug screw, drive it in there, put a plug in it, you'll never know.
Can we put a plug in it?
Got a plug? What are you doing? Do you want to do it? You can do it.
Talking. Thanks.
Good luck.
Alright.
Make sure you line up the grain pattern.
Okay.
Nah, that one doesn't have too much darkening.
Oh, okay. Oh, this one's good. That one, oh, that one's perfect. Oh, that one's gonna be good. Woo! No ho, no mo. Good job.
Thanks, boss.
That was great.
I do my best around here.
Thanks.
Why'd you say thanks?
Because I appreciate it.
Why?
Because it's nice.
Oh, okay. We didn't do anything.
Oh, it's a little heavy. You got it?
No.
What?
I'm tight. I'm too tight. Okay.
You get it on there. I'm a little tight over here. I'm a little tight over here.
I'm a little tight over here.
Can you get it in?
If we're gonna try, you gotta get the middle in first.
You got a sledge?
Do what?
Good. I want it real tight so don't go nowhere.
Did you get a boo-boo?
Yeah.
Ew.
You want me to call the
Blood
ambulance? Sorry.
There's gonna be 3 hits, Sean.
What are they?
Me hitting you,
Yep.
you hitting the ground,
Yep.
and the ambulance hitting 90.
On the way to the morgue, because I'm already dead, there's no chance.
There it is.
Look how much
Perfect.
Oh yeah.
Come to the middle now. Come to the middle now.
All right,
You're
Jesus.
popping me out.
That is a nice fit.
I'm not saying it's a bad one.
What do you act like?
Could have went in smart.
Tom, can you come sit on this?
Yep.
I think it was a good call doing the boards on the bottom.
Really?
Really brings it together.
How's that?
Let's see.
Hey, Catherine, you probably weigh more than me. You want to sit on it?
Rude as hell. We got our bar top all finished up here. You can see, check out how nice this is. I love that we finished the bottom of this. This is our first time doing a bar like this with the railing underneath, which I really like, especially for this house because they have these huge glass windows here. They can look right out, see the water. Just looks awesome, and it's super clean. So this is probably something we'll be doing again in the future.
Tony.
I'm working. What are you doing?
I'm filming you.
We're throwing down this Deckorators sleeper system on top of this concrete slab porch, whatever you want to call it. Very easy, effective system. It's thermally modified composite material, so it's impenetrable to wood.
That's not, that's not what it is at all.
What is it, Sean? Teach me. Teach the people.
What we got here, you're getting confused with the UFP Edge material, which is thermally modified.
This is mineral based.
It's mineral based composite. So this is the same exact material that the decking's made out of.
Gotcha. Look,
it has an incredibly high weight to strength ratio. So it's lightweight, but it's also super strong.
Super strong, yeah.
Try to break it.
I can't. I'm standing on it.
Woo! You guys got this up in a jiffy.
Jiffy, right?
Woo! Good job.
Thanks, bud.
It's gonna look nice.
It's gonna look real nice.
Yeah. Should I get my belt on?
What are you gonna do?
Hey, jump in.
I was gonna jump in and help the guys out, but I guess they don't need me right now, so. You need anything?
Not at all.
All right, I'm here if you need me. We got some stuff to do in the van anyway, so.
Saws are broken.
Why?
Because I tried to cut a square cut.
What?
And that happened.
Whoa.
Pretty good fit.
You can see we got a lot of these deck boards down. Tony had to do this fancy little scribe here. You want to give them a quick little demonstration how you do that with your little compass there?
You scribe it, you cut it on a little bit of an angle, install it. Good, isn't it?
Thanks for that very informative.
Why are you being so shy, Tony?
Because I don't know how to explain it. It's very difficult.
All right, so we've got this irregular face of stone here. So what you're going to want to do with something like this, we can't actually mark out this piece because it's such a small piece. So what we want to do in this case, make a template. You can get a piece of cardboard, whatever, and you're going to go like this, and you're just going to go 90 degrees off the stone, and you're going to basically trace that contour of the stone. You'll have that. Then you can put it on your piece, you can cut it, you'll be good to go. We've got some nicer weather today, so
finally.
So we're gonna hold off on the screen porch till we get our next rain day. That's our little rain pet project. So we're back out here with some really just nice weather, and we're getting this outdoor kitchen built.
Build a kitchen.
What we're doing here, all we're gonna have is a grill and an access door in here, so nothing too crazy. It's gonna be pretty sweet. So once we get a couple more of these components kind of built, the sidewalls, we'll show you exactly how this goes together. Hey, what are you doing there, Sean? Oh, I'm actually getting ready to prep for all of these Deckorators riser lights that we're going to be putting in. So this is a little bit complicated because we have these wraparound stairs. Whenever we have these, you can see each tread is a little bit longer than the one before it. We don't want to just do straight lines. We want to stagger them, and it just looks a little bit nicer. So what I like to do, start on my middle riser, I find my middle point, that's right there, and then we do an offset off of that. So right now I'm doing the 3-foot spacing between lights. So I pulled 3 feet off in both directions. So on this riser, we're right in between these 2 lights, and then from this one to this one, we have that 3-foot spacing, and then it's gonna be the same on this bottom riser. What do you think?
Looks good.
So you can see, because we staggered them, we have this, our top and bottom riser lining up, but because this one is about 2 feet longer, we get an extra light here, so it looks like it cascades down this corner, but all the spacing is still the same. If you have them just in straight lines, it gets really wacky looking in this corner, because you could either go light, 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 but then you have this big open space, and it just looks a little weird. So we like to do it like this on wraparound stairs, and
A lot of lights going in here.
Got a little tip for you when you're installing treads. So we have a detail of a 5.5-inch deck board, a 3/16 inch gap, a 2.5, 2 5/8 rip tundra deck board, and another 3/16 gap. That equals up to about 8 5/8. So what I like to do is I'll cut a spacer block, 8 5/8, and I'll just rest these and butt my treads to them so I can keep a nice even reveal. I started my miter. I don't know if you can see, but it's not as tight as I would like. There's like a little bit of a gap there. What's happening is this deck board is kind of bowed in a little bit. Once I slap this in, it kicks it out. Now that's super tight.
we've got some more lights going across this set of steps. We've got almost all of the lights installed, so now we just have to hook them together. And you can see each light, I'll pop this out. So you see we've got our little trim piece here. This also comes in white and black with each set, so you can choose whether you want the darker or the lighter trim piece. Then our light just pops right in there. So we've got this lead on the end of each light, and we're working from this way back because that's where we're going to tie into the transformer. So we just have this hanging out the back. We put this splitter on it, and all of this stuff comes inside the kit. Just plug and play. Now we'll go from our previous light. You can see this also has the splitter on it. Connect this in, and you can see how easy this is. Just plug and play. Other end. Gonna go into our next light, into this side of the splitter. Just kind of twist and push on there. Good to go. And now you'll see we're left with another piece here, and that's going to connect to our next light. So they just wire all together, and then you pick your spot where you want to tie it into your transformer. They do come with a transformer kit for these lights, but we're going to have a ton of landscape lighting, so we're going to tie it in a little bit differently to a larger transformer. So we'll show you that when we get to it, but super easy. I really love the connection system. We'll finish wiring these up. We'll tack up all our wires, get them off the ground. We'll be good to go. There you go. There's our perimeter. We can start doing some excavation. We're actually gonna be bringing a lot of this up. So some of the stuff out here doesn't really need to be excavated much. We just need to get all of this organic material out. Then we can compact, and then we can start building up. just checking our subgrade with our zip level here. We're gonna use the laser for all of our screed beds and our base installation, but we just need to make sure that we don't have any high spots. So I zeroed it off the bottom step there. We have a 6-inch rise to our finished grade, and then we have 10 inches of excavation that we need. We need 6 inches for our base, about 1.5 inches for our screed bed, and then the thickness of the stone. So we're coming down here with our pitch of about 2 inches from here. We should be about -18 off of our bottom step. We need to come down about another inch. It looks like we might have a tiny bit of a hump here as well, and a little bit there. So just want to scrape that out.
Okay.
Get it a tiny bit lower. Okay, out here at our corner, we should be at about 18, same as there. Oh, that's right on. I like that. We might need to check right here. It looks like it's a tiny bit high. It's like roughly 2 inches high on this high spot. We're looking good. We've got this subgrade fine-tuned. We're at the right elevation, so now we can compact it again and we can start on our base. All right, we're looking good. Next step, we're gonna start with our 3/4 clean stone base, and we're just gonna work from that side back this way so we're not driving over top of the base, and we're gonna do it in 2 lifts. We're gonna do a couple inches of 3/4 stone, we're gonna compact that, then we're gonna put down a geogrid, and then we're gonna bring it up to our final elevation. So we're just gonna do that starting over on those far steps, working this way, and getting it to grade as we go so we don't have to continually drive over top of that stone base. Putting down this layer of geogrid about halfway through our base, and we like to do it. It's just extra insurance, strengthens that base, locks all of that stone together. We don't gotta worry about it. All right, so we got most of our base prepared here, and now we're starting on our screed bed. You can see we've got our 3/8 clean stone as our setting bed. We've talked about it a lot, but we still get questions about it, so I'll explain a little bit. We like this method because everything is a clean, free draining stone. A lot of problems that you might have with pavers, a lot of times are gonna be caused by moisture. So this allows any water that gets into the system to pass right through. That's why we love it. And it's a lot easier to work with than sand because you can kind of lightly walk on your setting bed. It's still lava, but be careful. Everything is being based off of our step height right here, so we don't need to bust out the laser just yet. This level's nice because it's 2 1/4, and that's basically the same height as our paver. So we can put this on here. Then you don't have to do math, and we can just measure. We need to go down about 1/4 inch. Tiny bit more. And right there, we're good. So I'm gonna set this one down. We're gonna pitch it away just a tiny bit. There you go. So we're good here. Our pipes are set. Now we just screed across this and we've got a perfectly consistent setting bed for our pavers.
An eagle.
Where? Whoa! Possibly even cooler than a plane. We got an eagle.
Go birds.
Got ourselves a new machine here. We got the Cat 416C front loader, backhoe, and we're gonna use this to move some pallets around the job site. So all I gotta do is figure out how to drive it. We should be good. Gavin, can you show me how to drive this?
Yeah.
We got a lot of space, so I don't think we'll hit anything. I'm very confident, and if you're not confident at first, don't worry about it. I mean, don't beat yourself up about it, because I remember when I first started, I was a little nervous, and now that I've driven it for almost 5 minutes, I'm pretty confident. I can whip this thing. I can parallel park this baby in the city, for sure, with a couple pallets on the front. First, we're gonna move this entire skid of Deckorators boards out of our way, and then we're gonna be able to take those Techo-Bloc pallets. We got the Blue Grande, they're heavy, so we want them right where we're working. So it's gonna be nice. It's gonna make it a lot easier. Breaker, breaker, backing up. We got our screed bed started and we're ready to start laying some of these slabs. So all along these stairs, we're all even, same elevation. But here to there, we're gonna pitch 2 inches. So all this is flat, and then this is gonna pitch 2 inches, and then we'll have everything set up to come off of that. We can do the rest of our pavers, but this will also allow us to get all of these pallets as close as possible so we don't have to move them very far. All right, so as we're turning this corner,
okay.
You all right? You got to sneeze?
I thought I had to sneeze it left. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so we have the Blue Grande wrapping around our step, and we've just used the steps as a reference. So now as we're coming off this way, we're gonna run a string line, have them come all the way out here. We'll also show you how we set up these screed pipes to make sure our pitch is consistent going this way. All right, so we've got our laser set up here. Here's our receiver. Right on the money there. Nice long beep. So as we go this way, because everything else to this point has all been flat against our stairs. We have about 20 feet here, and we're just pitching it 1 inch per 10 feet. So we came to the end here. This was the end of our first screed pipe. And all we want to do, because we're going down here, we actually want to move our receiver up 1 inch. And boom, right there. We've pitched 1 inch. Now, let's go to the end of our second pipe. We'll pitch 1 more inch. So, I'll move this up. Boom. Another inch. So you just want to make sure that your pitch stays consistent. So it's going to be a nice, even, consistent grade change. You don't want any humps or valleys. We're not pitching this a huge amount because this is all going to be permeable. We have really nice sandy soil, and we're going to use a permeable joint fill. So we do have some slope. There's not going to be standing water, but everything is going to be able to escape through the joints and into our subgrade. Boom, there's our reference line. Just run straight this way, and it's coming together. What do you think? All right, so you can see we have our screed pipe set up here. And the difficult thing here is that on this one, because that corner is our lowest point, we're pitching 1.5 inches. On our top side here, we're only pitching about 1/2 inch. So we have this varying slope that's all pitching this way. So we like to set our 2 ends, and then we can take a string line. You can see Jose doing it right now. He's got his 2 ends set. There you go. Takes the guesswork out of it. We don't have to figure out these odd calculations. We know our 2 set points at either end. Then we can just do the string line, bring it just up to it. Make sure you're not pushing it up too much to throw off the string line, and you're good to go. All right, so we have this all screeded out. We're ready to start laying our pattern in here. You can see with this drawing that I did, we've planned it all out, so everything on this square patio is all going to be symmetrical. We're gonna start with a triangle piece. We cut a bunch of the Everest in half diagonally, so I figured out we needed 14 full pieces cut in half. Each side is gonna have 5 of these triangles, and then we're gonna have also half pieces around the fire pit in the middle. So all we're gonna have is half pieces and full pieces. Nice and easy, and everything's gonna be beautiful when it's done and look really planned out and very purposeful. So here.
Oh, that's gonna look so nice.
Thank you. Yeah, check this one first. Right here, make sure I'm good here.
Is your drawing different than the way you started?
I don't think so.
I think it is. I think you missed the border.
You got a border going in here. See on your corners. Have a border here too.
Oh no. Oh no. Remember I told you to look at the drawing?
You haven't been looking at the drawing?
I didn't look at the drawing good enough.
The tire pits look pretty big.
Oh God.
What's messed up? Start with a corner piece in the corner.
No, this is
No.
right, but there should be a border
There's
here.
a border there.
We'll shift everything.
Oh Hey, I sent it to everybody.
Nobody's mad at you for sending it.
Stop yelling at me! I'm sorry.
No such thing as a problem, son. It's a solution we haven't found yet. We found the solution. We got to pick up Pavers. We got to move them.
We gotta pick up Pavers, we gotta move them. We're gonna be doing that all day anyway, so what's the difference? That can stay, yep. Oh God.
Just this way, just take that way.
Yeah, this is just
Yep.
gonna
Yeah.
shift.
Such an idiot. God. We love Pavers so much. We like to put them down, pick them up, move them, put them back down again. And I damn near broke my brain trying to figure out what went wrong. These corner pieces, which we started with, those aren't actually halves. Our starter piece is gonna be right here, this full piece, and we need it coming 45 degrees off of this side and have this corner touching right at our border. So essentially this is our starter piece instead of these two corners, and we should be back on track. We should be fine. It's always a little bit confusing with these complicated inlays that we like to have so perfectly laid out. Sometimes you just miss one little thing, it throws everything off, but gotta be more careful next time, and I think we're good. All right, so we've got our patio over here pretty much figured out. We've got some cuts and some fine tuning on that, but we've now transitioned onto, I guess, the main section of patio here. And what we wanted to do, because we started the layout over there, we wanted all of that to be symmetrical. We weren't as concerned here because it's irregular anyway. So we just picked a line, ran a string line right across. Now all of our accent lines are carrying straight through, and it looks like it's just cutting underneath of this walkway that's breaking it up. So we're moving along here pretty good. Should have it done by the end of the day. What do you think?
I think that's right, Patio Daddy.
You feel alive, let's hit the dance floor. Don't work too hard, my break a backbone. Return of the Mac, the king is back though. Corvette and cash, I never like those. She saw the stone, you know how that go. Fatality, my diamonds that cold. Versace trunks, I hit my backstroke. Knock on the door, she at the back, bro. All I really take is a little taste. I like girl blue eyes with a little bass.
So Tom and Ant are working on our perimeter cuts, and now me and Jose are just going through and we're leveling out these mica pavers.
Jose and I.
Jose and I are working on leveling out these mica pavers. The Everest here and the Blue Grande is 60 millimeters thick. The mica is 70 millimeters thick, about 3/8 of an inch. But we're able to just knock them down instead of rescreeding a bed and bringing our setting bed lower. We can just knock these down with the dead blow. A little extra work, but we always like to make things a little complicated for us. But this color combo, A1. That should be good.
That's it?
Yep. We're just starting the corner of our retaining wall here. This is gonna wrap around the corner of the deck. Our wall grade is a little bit below our paver grade here, so we wanna get this in first so we can finish that setting bed, and then we can tie up all the pavers around here. We'll move forward with this retaining wall a little bit later. Yeah, just give me a scoop. I want to bring it up a tiny bit more. A little bit. That's good. Once we get to the rest of our wall, we'll be screeding out our setting bed for this, but we're just doing a little bit of it right now. So I'm bringing it up a tiny bit high, and then I can always bang it down and make sure that our setting bed, this 3/8 stone, is properly compacted. We're not gonna have any settling with this base course. It'll be a lot easier to set the rest of our wall once we have our base set up and we screed that setting bed, but this works for now. We've got enough where we can finish this corner and then we can finish our pavers, which is our main goal for today. Whoa. Whoa. Always remember when you're gluing your retaining walls, you want your lines of glue to go with the flow of water. So we don't want to have horizontal lines that's going to stop any water from seeping through the front of the wall if it needs to.
Remember that.
There you go.
Ow! Anthony! This is the most fun I've ever had, I think. I love this. Ah!
You're Michael Scott, I'm Ryan.
That's kind of accurate.
Right?
You're the temp?
Huh?
Oh God, there's gonna be a part where you become my boss?
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
But then I'm still always underneath you.
That's what she said.
No, I want to be, Phyllis. Sweet old lady. Stanley, you're not right. You're Stanley.
I'm definitely, I'm a total Stanley.
You are Stanley a little bit.
100%.
Yeah.
I love crosswords.
Do you love pretzel day?
Yes. You still ever come into work with 2 pretzels almost every day.
We're about to start on our edge restraint. There's a lot of hubbub around the industry. What do you use? What do you use?
Things in those big nails.
Yeah, you use a plastic thing and the big nails? No, we don't. You use concrete, it's gonna crack because it's not reinforced. Well, I got your answer right here. We got little pieces of fiberglass, little fibers.
Fiberglass.
I don't know if it's fiberglass, it's just concrete reinforcement fibers. So let's get a little handful of these, sprinkle them in there. Do another little bag, another little handful there. Throw a little extra in for good measure, because why the heck not? And it's super cheap. I forget how much it was, but I got like 40 of these bags, 40 1-pound bags, and it'll probably last us an entire lifetime. Reinforce your concrete. That's a nice looking edge. Such a nice looking edge. Are you filming?
Yeah.
Oh. So, you can see, we just plop this in here. We want a nice angle away from the pavers so that we can get dirt right up against them. And it's all reinforced with those fibers, so nice and strong. But really make sure you get a nice good chunk of it. That's what's gonna hold it all together. You don't want it like real thin. That's gonna fall apart, flake off, chip away. So that's how you do it. We like to do it extra thick around any corner But besides that, just toss it in there, trowel it out. Just trowel it out. Nice and easy.
Three 3¼ square.
Oh, for here? Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Just trying to do my part, help out, you know. Whatever I can do to help the team. Be an asset. I don't want to be a liability. So we're having a little bit of a bump out on our walkway here because you can see we've got some plumbing ran here for an outdoor shower. That's going to go in a little bit later. So we just wanted to shift the walkway over a tiny bit. We also obviously need to get to this door. So we're changing the direction of the slabs to go into the door. We're going to have a border on the outside, and that's going to create that bump out. And then we're going to use some of this mica right in here. So we got a nice shower floor. It's all gonna be permeable, so it's gonna be set up real nice. Decided to do a little herringbone here, you know? Figured why not? Add a little detail here, separate it. You know, define the space a little bit. Oh, it broke, didn't it?
Not even hammering it.
Gotta be careful.
It does sound like a good one. To be fair, it does sound good.
It was above the clouds. I couldn't even see it. It looks less cloudy over here, though. Let's see.
Mystery plane.
Oh well. What?
They're everywhere and nowhere all at the same time.
All right, back to the patio. So we got a nice little detail going on here, and we got some cuts to make now, so we'll get those in, and I think it's just enough to set this part off, add a nice little detail, but not be too bold and jump out at you.
Patio daddy-o.
What's up, Catherine?
What you doing?
We got to scribe. We have to scribe a deck board to the stone facade here.
Ooh.
I got one done already, so I got my gears going, a little oiled up. I'm gonna explain to you how I go about it, my approach. First thing I do is I like to screw my deck board so I have a consistent reveal at the top and the bottom. So right now I'm sitting at 1 3/4 at the top and 1 3/4 off the bottom. I want to maintain a 1/4 inch reveal for my screens, so that tells me I need to take about 1.5 inches of material out on my scribe. One of the hardest things to do dealing with these Deckorators deck board is a pencil doesn't really mark nice. So I'm going to go and throw some painter's tape on it so I can get a good pencil line. So what you got to do is you got to take your compass, set it to the depth that you want to take the material out. So I'm sitting at about 1.5 inches, a little heavy. So that means I'll make sure I leave my pencil line. You need to maintain like 90 degrees. You can't be like this, because whatever this part of the compass is touching, that's what the pencil is going to trace to. So you want to make sure you stay about 90 degrees and then just take your time, because you only get one chance to make a mark and that's your cut.
So that's my cut.
Take a pan of it. Now we cut it. So this is when scribing gets a little bit difficult. It's a lot of walking back and forth to where your piece needs to go. So I know this piece isn't gonna fit nice. There's a lot of variables that come into play, but I'm gonna put it up there just so I can get an idea of what cuts I can fix now, and then go back to back cutting and getting all the back material out. Stop. So this is cut one of many. As you can see, it's not sitting that tight, but I do see the reveal at the shape of the stone. It looks pretty consistent. Also, my reveal at the top and the bottom is still sitting pretty consistent. So what the hard part about scribing is, when I scribe, I'm only touching one part of the stone. The shape of the stone goes back. So I'm hitting parts of the stone that I need to take all this material out. I'll show you a couple ways how I go about that. Take your jigsaw upside down, put it on an angle, and just cut it out. As you can see, I'm relieving some of the material on the back for the stone. I mean, you can see how much we do this whole thing. As you can see, I was able to relieve some more material on the back, but I still need to do more. So another method that I'll go to, as you can see, I'll use my planer. The trick is don't go too much, because you only get one shot at this cut. Stay tuned. So as you can see from the previous fit, it's starting to get a little bit closer. I'm still happy with my reveal that I'm seeing. I still have a consistent reveal on this side. I think I'm just gonna need one more go at it, and I'll show you that cut. My goal is to get all this material gone. Now with what we have on a job site tool-wise and what this material is made of, my best option is a table saw. I highly recommend you do not do this.
I am a paid professional.
It's very dangerous, but I feel comfortable. I can still count to 10. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it on, and I'm gonna follow the shape of what I cut. I'm gonna go extremely slow, extremely careful, and I'll show you what it does. With doing just that little section, you can see all that material I'm gonna be taking out. This is potentially material that is hitting my stone that is keeping me off so it doesn't look real nice and tight. This cut takes a while. Check back later. I'll show you the fit.
It's tuft. It is kind of a mullet. It's more mullet-y for sure.
Hello.
He's got a blue beak.
What are you feeding it?
Stale banana nut bread. They seem to like it.
Beggars can't be choosers.
They're so cute.
They are really cute. Oh.
Super cute.
Alright, I'm getting to the end of the banana bread here, guys. Bye, ducks. Thanks for visiting.
So, after you scribed it, you've cut it, you've checked it, you cut it again, you cut it again, then you check it again, and then you cut it one more time, this is what you end up with. Hope that helps. Try your best.
We're getting our base set for this wall. We've put some geogrid in here. Now we're setting up our screed pipes, and we do this a little bit different because we're not gonna run a compactor over this like the pavers afterwards. The height that these pipes are set at is the bottom of our base course. So we're gonna fill up this area with our 3/4 stone just below the height of our pipes. Then we'll do a thinner layer of 3/8 stone, and we'll also hand tamp that so it's really nice and compacted and there's gonna be no settling at all. Did you hear that joke about the duck?
What?
I forget, but it really had me quacking up. I just made that up. What do you guys think? Peace. Just got a couple cuts to make on these caps. So got my saw here, got my mask, got my earplugs, and what we're gonna do, we have a small cut that needs to go here. So I'm actually gonna shift these down, put the cut over on this end so it's less noticeable. There'll be a cut up against the wall, cut over there. The detail that we wanted here with our cap was having it come just underneath of our tread overhang. So you can see I'm tied up against the stair riser, but we don't have any overhang reveal on the cap. So I'm gonna actually notch this, and that way we can pull it this way. It's gonna be a nice look. Nice little notch there, small detail, but it's gonna make it look nice and clean. Nice little notch. Doesn't have to be super clean because it's hidden underneath of the tread, but made sure it's precise anyway. Good to go. Another cut, and we'll just rip 1 inch off of this, and good to go. What do you think?
Looks great.
Thanks.
Nice little tip for cutting straight lines with a handheld saw. what I like to do is just score a line first, nice and straight. And because this is going against the deck, I'm just gonna angle the blade back a tiny bit so that my top sticks out further than the bottom and we're not gonna have a gap. All right, now let's see if it turned out straight and I angled it back correctly, and we should get a tight fit. Let's see.
Pretty good.
Another thing to consider, we always like to dry fit these caps first, make sure everything is lining up nicely. It can be a little bit more difficult with a wall like this graphics wall because everything's coming in and out and has that dimensional look, so you're not having a super straight, consistent line. Should be straight and consistent overall, but from piece to piece, they're going in and out. So we like to set both ends. Then we can run a string line, make sure everything looks good. And once it does, we have all the pieces in there. Then we can pick them up one by one, glue them down, good to go.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna need a string line.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a little out. I could tell as I was going, the overhang was getting a lot bigger on the front, so. What's the action equivalent of mansplaining? I think I just did that. Garden bed retaining wall, all wrapped up. Let's see what's next. Check it out. You can really see, look at all those fibers in there. Can you see it? Can you see all those hairs in there?
Yeah.
Can you?
Kinda, yeah.
That's what's adding the strength there to our concrete. We're 99% done at this point. We're gonna walk you through the whole thing. So we start off this project coming off the driveway and we lead to the backyard, and we use these Techo-Bloc Blue Grande slabs. So nice modern look. We've bordered it with the Mica paver in that clean block onyx black. Looks awesome. Check this out. Got some new fancy little path lights. Got these off of Amazon. Link will be in the description if you want to check these out. Love the effect that they have. Nice big fixture, glass, aluminum. Really nice look. Let's continue. We haven't mulched yet, but you can see we have our plants in here. We've got some ornamental grasses. We've got a combination of spotlights and these path lights. All that wiring will get covered up by the mulch. This was actually an existing screen porch, but we just refreshed it. We reframed some things, put decking over the concrete slab, and then trimmed out all the openings, put new screens in. One thing that we did change on the fly here, we just had in the plans to have steps coming off the front, and we were gonna have railing here, but we figured with this walkway wrapping around, why don't we do wraparound stairs? Let's check out the inside. So this was just a concrete porch here. We did the Deckorators sleeper system and then put some Costa boards on top. And you can see how we trimmed out all of the framing here. We have a Costa board on both sides. This was a 4x4 post. And then that leaves us just enough space to do a 5.5-inch solid edge board, and it has a tiny bit of a reveal, so it looks really nice. We've done this quite a few times. Another thing that we like to do on screen porches, always do a knee wall. The bottom screens are always gonna get ripped. If you have a pet, if you have kids, whatever, that's gonna get damaged almost immediately. So we always like to do a knee wall. Really nice refresh on this. We didn't have to do a ton of work because the structure was already here. We just gave it a whole new vibe with all this Deckorators trim. Woo! Now we get to the main section of the backyard project here. We've got more patio space. We've got stairs coming out of the kitchen. Right here is gonna be the built-in barbecue. We're actually waiting for the granite to arrive for that, so this is one thing that's not gonna be completed yet, and we'll have to come back next week to get final pictures, but we're gonna have a 32-inch grill in the center, access door, granite countertop. It's gonna look really nice. And the thing I really like about this, you can see all the trim just going right around, running into these stairs, to these stairs, and everything just flows really nicely. The spacing is all the same, and it's just a nice, clean, modern look, and that's what we were going for here. We've got a really cool paver design here. We've got the Everest in grade nickel with the Mica in onyx black, and you can see how we've got this crisscross pattern. Looks really cool. One little detail that you might not notice, but we like to do, we do essentially a basket weave pattern when we do an X like this. So you can see this is cutting through this seam this way. Next seam, it's like that. It just makes everything look a little bit more symmetrical and planned out, which is always important to me. Oh, God. Oh, look at the little legs go. Oh, he's so cute. Anyway, another important part of the planning on this, we knew that we were doing this X design. This is a symmetrical shape. We have a perfect square in this section. This is a little bit more irregular. So we started our layout on this side, and you can see all the corners are all exactly the same. We have the same cuts in every corner. So this works out perfectly. And then all we did was continue one of these lines straight through. So everything lines up, but we wanted to make sure that the critical point, which was over here, everything worked out, and all four corners are exactly the same. A little bit of extra work there, figuring out those tiny details, but I think it makes the biggest difference. So now we're on to the deck here. You can see we have all of these stairs cascading down. We wanted a really open flow. Obviously we have this beautiful landscape. We've got the river right here, so we wanted everything to just feel really wide open. And this is probably the biggest set of wraparound stairs that we've done. We also made the treads a little bit deeper than usual. They're 14 inches. Usually we do 11 or 12, but it gives it that nice relaxed feel. And right here, look at this. We did the same thing with the decking here. We have this line running straight through. It interrupts here, and we have that same basket weave effect. Again, a little detail, but when you accumulate all those details together, it makes for that wow factor in the end, and I think we got it on this one. Let's go. Here we are on the top deck. One of the biggest things about this project was all the sliding doors, and we wanted everything to exit out of those doors and lead you into this backyard. So initially, they didn't want to have stairs going from this deck down because they were thinking, we'll probably just put firewood up here. They have a natural fireplace inside. I was pretty persistent that they needed to connect these spaces. I think it just really helps the whole flow of everything. And this is also the perfect spot to do this little bar top. We can have some stools here. Perfect vantage point of the river, and it's just a nice little space. And by making it a tiny bit bigger than a landing, we've added a whole bunch of functionality. We can have 4 or 5 people sitting up here, looking at the water, talking with the people down here, and just adds a lot of bang for your buck. We talked a little bit about the lighting on the walkway over there, but we also did a ton of lighting on all of these stairs. We've got almost 100 stair lights on this project. It's pretty crazy. These are the new Deckorators riser lights, and with all of these wraparound stairs, it really makes a statement at night. Having everything lit up not only adds a visual element, but it adds that safety factor and functional light, which you're definitely going to want because people are going to be out here all night. So you're probably thinking, hey Sean, this fire pit doesn't look done, and you would be certainly correct in that statement. We had a change order on this. We were gonna do a natural wood burning fire pit, but they want to change to propane, so they're having their plumber come out and run a gas line for this. That'll be done sometime this week, so we may have to take up some of the pavers to trench for it. They're gonna try to jet it underneath of our base and come up in the center. We're gonna see how that works, but set us back a little bit completely finishing this up, but it's gonna be really nice for the homeowners to be able to just push that button, have a fire, put it out and go inside whenever they want. So a little bit of a setback on that, but when it's finally done, it's gonna be primo.